Daniel Brigham here. As e-learning developers, really, despite our best intentions, sometimes we create a course that the client is not happy with. So in this video post, I thought I'd explore 4 ideas that may help you mentally deal with an unhappy client. Not so much fixing the e-learning problem with the client, but more at helping you deal mentally with an unhappy client, which can be disturbing. And some of this relates specifically to freelancers, and that's certainly what I do, but I think most of it relates to e-learning developers in general. Point 1. Before you can become a really good e-learning developer, you need to make all the common mistakes. And that would be things like building a course that's technically proficient but really bores the learner, or creating a course whose look and feel doesn't really match what the client asked for. Or it might be creating what Tom Kuhlman calls the Franken course, that sort of loose collection of slides and interactions that might be cool in and of themselves but don't really hang together as a unit. These common mistakes are really a rite of passage for e-learning developers, and I should know because I've made most of them and I'm still standing. Point 2. Unhappy clients are really a learning experience par excellence, or if you prefer, sort of a turbocharged learning experience, which we should be into, as e-learning developers. One of the reasons there's such a good learning experience is that the messages unhappy clients deliver are totally emotional. They're tied up into feelings about money and feelings about worth. And because they're totally emotional, they really stick, which is great, from a learning perspective. Another nice thing about unhappy clients is they articulate our flaws, flaws that we can't always see. And if it's an e-learning development flaw, we can skill up in that area. Or if we're a freelancer, we can maybe sub that out and no longer, offer that as the scope of practice. Point 3. However, as we get more experienced, it's not so much our e-learning chops that are at question, but it's more often that we didn't really understand what the client wanted in the first place. And what makes it tricky is that a lot of the clients that we deal with are new to e-learning, have a hard time sort of expressing what type of course that they want. I felt what helps me there is just showing them a lot of examples, in particular off the Articulate Community Showcase of courses that already exist. And then of course storyboarding, creating a detailed storyboard can help, and also creating rough mock-ups. So they get to see what you're capable of building. Point 4, and my last point, when things go south in an e-learning relationship, man, they go south quickly. So don't let that throw you off. Of course, if there's a contract in place, you're obliged to do everything, within that contract to make it right. But if you're doing that and you're getting the vibe that the client is still unhappy, I'd suggest try to get out of the contract. As a freelancer, it's always a good idea to have an escape clause, this clause that says, hey, if at some point in this project we're both not happy, we'll agree to part ways. That can be a good thing, because if the client is still unhappy, even though you're doing everything you can to make them happy, you're probably not going to work for them ever again, and that's cool. You've probably learned a lot from the experience. So those are 4 things that may help you sort of mentally deal with an unhappy client. We've all been there, and I hope you found that helpful. Thanks for listening.